This video is probably going to be one of the longest videos of the entire semester, and it is meant to introduce you to the course itself within Moodle. So I want to show you some features in Moodle that we use. I want to show you a little bit of the organization and just give you a general feel for how I've constructed this course. Every instructor, when they create an online course, does so somewhat differently. And if you've taken other online math courses, especially here at Mid, my course is probably going to be constructed and work in ways different from what other instructors created. So it's a good idea for you to understand how this one works, and you can kind of compare it to how other blocks work, or other courses work, excuse me. So we'll begin with navigation. There are essentially kind of 7 blocks of material. There's this general block here at the top, says Calculus 1, and we'll talk in more detail about what's inside it. There's a foundations block, a Y calculus block, limits and derivatives block, applications of derivatives, an introduction to integration, and finally a transcendentals block. The general and foundations block have material in them that you will probably use throughout the entire semester. The other blocks, you may go back to a limits and derivatives block after we've gotten through and a little bit later in the course. That's definitely possible, and I'm not saying that you won't, but the material that I expect most people will return to off and on throughout the course will be in these first 2 blocks. So let's talk about this general block, or the top block is how you'll often hear me refer to it. There's an announcements item here. This is essentially a forum, and I will post generally twice a week, sometimes more, updates and announcements about what's going on and a little bit of extra information about things and our calendar and schedule and whatnot there. You'll get emails of those. You can adjust in your profile how those emails work. If you look up here in the upper right hand corner, if you click on the down arrow, that's where your profile is, and one of the things you can manage in the profile is how you get news or announcement information. There's a book here called Introduction to Calculus 1 Online. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this video, you've already gotten into this book. Books are kind of exactly what they sound like. They have a table of contents, and then they have chapters, and in some cases they have subchapters. You navigate them using the arrows to move in and left and right, forward and backward, I guess. And when you get to the very end, there's an arrow that kind of points up that takes you out. And there are a number of different books in this course, and you should work on getting somewhat familiar with books. They're a nice way to share information within Moodle. Your syllabus is here, and it is a book. It's somewhat lengthy. You might want to take some notes. It's also possible for you to print the syllabus. So if you click into the syllabus, and you can see there's lots of information here. You should somewhere, and yours may be different than where mine is, you'll have an administration block. And I dock my administration block on the left. Yours may be visible down below the table of contents, so it might be a little bit further down the page here. But if you go to that administration block, you should have the option to print the book or print a chapter. So if you want to print the book and you have the ability to, let's say, print to a PDF, you could create your own PDF version of this book. If there's specific information, a certain chapter you want, you could print that off as well. So just be aware of that. And that's true for all books, by the way. You can print the material in any book. There's a complete schedule, and I strongly encourage you to print a copy of the complete schedule off, and you can use it kind of like a checklist as you go through the semester. There's a lot of work to be done, and it's a way to kind of keep track of what you've completed and what's done. These boxes over here on the right hand side are also ways to keep track of what you've been doing all semester. The ones that are solid are ones that you can click on and say, well, I'm done with that, or I'm not. The dashed ones you can't, but once you've completed something next to a dashed one, it will fill in automatically. So one of your first assignments is going to be to complete this intro survey. Once you've done that, this will check off automatically. I'll also ask you to introduce yourself in the introductions forum. This will click off automatically there as well. We're going to use WebAssign. That's where your digital book it will be, and it's also where you will find homework assignments. So we're going to use an online homework system, and this is one way to access WebAssign. It's the way you need to access WebAssign the first time so that you get added to our course in WebAssign itself. After that, there's a number of different ways that you can get to your WebAssign information, but the first time that you go there, you have to go through this link, and there's information about that in the syllabus, and I'll probably talk a little bit about it in another video. For a lot of our office hour support type stuff, I like to use a website called Piazza. It's free. You can create a free account there, and I'll show you some examples of that in another video as to how that works and why that's there. And this is a good way to get to Piazza. It's also kind of designed to help you register more quickly when you first do that. And there's a map of lecture topics to the textbook and the CCC sections. Right underneath that, you'll see something called the Conceptual Calculus Companion. That's a short book that tries to get just at the conceptual underpinnings of calculus without getting too deeply into all of the symbol pushing side of calculus. In other words, it's not so much about how you do calculus, it's more about what is calculus and how does it work and why does it work. The map right above it is meant to help you understand the lecture topics you will have throughout the semester, how those map back to sections in your textbook as well as sections in the Conceptual Calculus Companion. So you might want to print that off. That's a good way to kind of work your way around. You'll discover that I don't go through the book exactly in the same order the book's in for a variety of reasons, and this can help you kind of figure out where we are and what we're doing. I follow it pretty closely, but I do move a few things around. If you're interested in help from the Math Lab, you can follow this link to learn more about the Math Lab at MID. I ask that everybody have a TI-83 Plus or TI-84 Plus calculator. Any version of TI-83 Plus or TI-84 Plus is fine, and this is a book of videos that can help you learn a little bit more about how to use that calculator. And then there's a couple of extra links there for some potentially useful websites and some additional reading, and I'll let you check out those on your own. Before I go any further down below, I do want to point out a couple of things up here at the top of the course. The instructor info block, office hours, piazza.com. If it's a fall or a winter semester, I may also have office hours on our campus, which you are welcome to come to as an online student as well. During the summer session, everything is online. I don't have a presence on campus. Activities, a quick way to get around to various lists of things that we do in the course. Again, your administration block may be in a slightly different place than mine is, but this is where you can get access to your grades. And then over on the right-hand side of the course, once I start posting to that announcements forum that I mentioned, we'll have, I think, the most recent 5 pop up in this block. The upcoming events will show you what is coming up in the course, and the section links here are ways to quickly get to some of the blocks that are further down in the course. All right. So our first kind of block below the top block is the foundations block, and you'll notice it looks in all these blocks like there's nothing there. But if you click on the title of a block, you'll actually go into that block and you can see a little bit more information. You'll have to scroll back down again, but now we can see that the foundations block has 3 books in it. These are review material books, some general math review, some algebra review, some trigonometry review. Spend some time looking at those and understanding what they have. And then our first 5 assignments in WebAssign. These are all for extra credit, but or at least they were as of the time I made this video. And but these are all things that you should work on and make sure that, number one, you understand how WebAssign works, and that you get some practice with some of the review materials and learn how WebAssign works with stuff that you already know about mathematically. The last one, Prep 4, deals with regression, and there's a handout here in PDF form to help you understand how the TI-83 Plus and TI-84 Plus calculators can be used to deal with regression work. To go to another block, you click on right here at the bottom, we can jump to Y Calculus. Y Calculus is a short block. Here we have our first lesson, and you can see this interesting little symbol over here that looks like a kind of a tree of some stuff. Those are lessons. The items we see here with the paper with the hand underneath them, those are assignments. These are placeholders mostly. If they say WA, that means WebAssign. You'll get grades in WebAssign, and at some point I have to manually move them over to this course. So this is the placeholder for it. You can track your own progress as you go along. At the end of most of the blocks, there's a feedback item, and this is a chance for you to Think a little bit about how things have gone for you, what you might have done different, how the course might have been done differently. I've been teaching this course online for about 5 years, and I've gotten some really good feedback through this from students. So please don't be afraid to share your feedback. I am looking for ideas and ways to improve the course over time. The lessons comprise 5% of your grade, so make sure that you do complete them. At the end of the semester, any empty lesson grades become zeros, and that sometimes surprises people a little bit at the end of the semester who haven't completed them. The lessons, if you click into one here, generally give you some information. Sometimes they have graphs, sometimes they have videos, sometimes they have interactive files. There can be a variety of different things mixed in here. These are essentially your lecture material. And then each page in a lesson will have a question, and you can answer the question, submit, and then you can move on further into the lesson. And you'll learn a little bit more about how those work as you try them. Okay, limits and derivatives. I don't think I have a whole lot extra to show you here. This is definitely, now we're getting into the core of the course. This is much longer. And you'll see lesson, think lecture, and then assignment, which you'll do in WebAssign, and then a lecture, and then an assignment, lecture and assignment. You will occasionally have quizzes. These quizzes actually take place in Moodle, and I encourage you, there's no time limit on them other than the due date itself, so you can click into it, you can look at it, you can print it off, you can think about the questions, you can come back a couple days later and answer things. The concept quizzes are not easy, and you should spend some time thinking about the questions, doing your best to try to answer them. We shift from limits to derivatives, much the same. And at the end, you'll see that there's a project. Each one of our 4 main chunks of the course will have a project. We'll talk more about projects once we get closer to the first one. There'll be a test. Every test has a review associated with it. And then again, there's a feedback at the end of the block as well. All right, we could go through and look at the other blocks as well, but I think you're getting the idea, and this video is getting rather long, so I think I'm going to tie it off here. I will remind you once again that this is a 5-credit course, and as you poke around, you'll see that there's an awful lot to do. There's 50-some lessons, there's 50-some homework assignments, there's 4 tests, there's 4 projects. There's a lot of work to do. Big class, 5 credits. But hopefully one of the other things that you will understand as you look through here is that there's a lot of support as well. Whether it's asking questions in Piazza, whether it's looking at review material, whatever it happens to be, I've tried to build tons and tons of support to help you and guide you through your efforts to learn all about Calculus 1. Thank you.